The title of the article is Gender and Cultural Citizenship Among Non-Jewish Immigrants from the Former Soviet Union in Israel. I'm sorry, I have problems with my voice today.
You need water?
No. I have microphone, yes.
Yeah,
You don't? Yes.
Let me get you some water.
The introduction is about non-Jewish immigrants from the former Soviet Union in Israel. As part of the recent immigration from the former Soviet Union, about 330,000 non-Jews came to Israel as spouses of Jews or partly Jewish offspring of ethnically mixed families. The article is based on 38 interviews with non-Jewish spouses of Jewish immigrants. Thank you. The purpose is to analyze the gender aspects of the cultural citizenship. The theoretical background is based on two parts: gender and immigration and cultural citizenship and immigration. Theoretically, the article is focused on the gendered experience of migration and cultural transition. In this article, we will analyze men and women's interpretations of the identification with the Jewish collective, feeling at home in Israel, attitudes toward conversion to Judaism, Giyur, Jewish and Israeli holidays, and military service of the children. All these components are part of cultural citizenship in Israel. Gender and immigration. Researchers have analyzed the different ways in which immigrant men and women decide to migrate, enter the labor market, and build social networks. Two studies on the gender differentials in the adaptation process of Russian Jewish immigrants in USA by Gold and in Israel by Professor Larissa Remenik concluded that women and men manifest different modes of adjustment. Men succeed more on the labor market, while women develop new social ties and cultural interests. And this part about cultural citizenship. In nation states based on common ancestry, citizenship is derived from the natural membership defined by birth in the ethnic community. This principle is predominant in the ethno-national order of Israel, where citizenship is a function of being Jewish. Example, having a Jewish mother. Thus, gender, nationhood, and citizenship are all connected. Turner described significant cultural dimensions of citizenship as follows. It is a consequence of nationalism and patriotic sentiment, intimately bound up with the sentiments of membership. Cultural citizenship can be described as a capacity to participate effectively, creatively, and successfully within a national culture. Participants and the methods of our research. The study is based on the qualitative analysis of 38 semi-structured interviews with non-Jewish former Soviet Union immigrants from different towns in Israel. The informants were 24 women and 16 men, aged between 35 and 65, who moved to Israel as non-Jewish spouses of Jews about 13 years ago. Selective findings of the research. The questions related to the two different periods of their lives, before and after the immigration. The first part, before the immigration, the interview opened with the informant's personal background in the former Soviet Union and the issue of intermarriages and anti-Semitism in Russia. The second part addressed the informant's lives in Israel after the immigration. And the first part, life in former Soviet Union. Intermarriage among Soviet Jews. Marriage to members of the dominant majority, Slavs in this case, has been the sign of ongoing secularization and assimilation of the Jews under Soviet regime. the marriages between Jews and non-Jews had been widespread and socially acceptable in the Soviet Union and former Soviet Union after that. Since the 1920s, and continued to increase during the post-Soviet period. Russia and Soviet Jews have over 60% non-Jewish spouses, while it is more common among Jewish men. In the 70s, 51% of married Jewish men and only 33% of the women have spouses from another ethnic group. By 2000, the share of non-Jewish spouses among Jewish men and women had reached 72% and 53%. So the tendency is increase. Our non-Jewish informants expressed different opinion on the pluses and minuses of being married to a Jewish spouse. Several women spoke about the advantages of being married to a Jewish husband in Russia. In the context of high divorce rates, often due to male violence and alcoholism, Jewish males were known by contrast as reliable partners, non-drinkers, and family men. So Russian women prefer to have a Jewish husband. Contrary to non-Jewish women's stories about advantages of being married to Jews, non-Jewish men didn't mention the advantages of Jewish women. They simply assert the internationalism and lack of concern about the ethnicity of their wives. These men did not face anti-Semitism, maybe because they didn't change their last names after their marriage to Jewish women, and the children officially passed as non-Jews. This is contrary to the case of Russian woman that married to Jewish man and had a Jewish last name and suffered from anti-Semitism. Men were typically less involved and assimilated into the Jewish families of their wives by comparison to a strong assimilation of Russian wives to the Jewish families of their husbands. Life in Israel after immigration. And we have 3 topics in our research. The first topic is about attitudes toward conversion to Judaism. The second topic is perceived integration in Israel, self-identity and satisfaction. And the third topic is about holidays and local food. Attitudes toward conversion. In Orthodox Judaism, the Jewishness of children is determined by the mother, contrary to the Soviet tradition where ethnically mixed children usually followed the paternal line. Only about 5% of his group have successfully converted to Orthodoxy in Israel, the only one legally accepted in Israel. Apparently, demands of Orthodox Giyur are undesirable for most former Soviets. What they seek is social inclusion and becoming full-fledged citizens, but not religious Jews. Most ex-Soviet converts are women who want their children to become Jewish. Thus, the conversion motivation is clearly gendered. Almost all Russian women we study had considered the conversion option soon upon arrival in Israel. This was often in response to the comments made by various state agents and veteran Israelis, neighbors, co-workers, relatives, indicating that non-Jews, especially the women, should convert to Judaism. Notably, the women who underwent conversion explained the decision because of the children. An example of woman who made...
I have to read this, you know.
Yeah, okay. You can see woman that explain her wish to convert, and she actually converted because of her children. All 22 informants in the research had been told at some point that they should convert, and most of them considered this option, even if the majority decided against it. Contrary to the woman, only 2 out of 16 male informants had even been advised to convert. Male don't want to convert. According to Goodman, conversion in Israel of the 2000s is not only a religious matter, but a venue for nationalization of non-Jewish immigrants from former Soviet Union and turning them into complete citizens. Giyur may also be viewed as an instrument through which the national state oversees and controls its citizens. All the second part, the second topic, perceived integration in Israel. All the interviews and the studies saw the lives in Israel as an improvement over their pre-migration lives. This is mainly due to an improvement economically, such as apartment ownership, having a car, being able to travel, and having access to quality health services. Many of them mentioned social, political, and economic instability in Russia and Ukraine that had actually pushed them to leave to Israel. Several Russian women stressed in the interviews that they saw Israel as their new homeland. Despite all the difficulties they have been experiencing upon resettlement, many of them emphasize their loyalty and patriotism toward Jewish state. Okay, this is example of Masha. She is co-worker with my husband in high-tech company. And he told how patriotic she and her children to Israel. And my son served in the IDF. He was on the Lebanon border during the last war, and he never asked for a leave, even when his grandpa in Russia died, and we all went to the funeral. My daughter dates a local guy who is traditional Moroccan, and he is not bothered that my daughter is not Jewish. Masha's integration in Israel society draws first and foremost on the experience of her children, the military service of her son in a combat unit, and her daughter's native and traditional boyfriend. These two themes, children's military service and the ties, dating and marriage with local partners, especially of Mizrahi origin, appear in some stories of Russian women and are usually colored by feelings of pride. And this is the example of Olga. She's cleaning lady in Bar-Ilan University, and I interviewed her. Okay, she has her sons, all of them served in IDF. My oldest son had already completed his military service. The other two are in IDF now. When they demobilize, the youngest son will be drafted. What do you think of the IDF? By and large, this is a positive force. Do you see this country as your homeland? I think our homeland is where the person and the family feel secure. This is what homeland means to me. I was born in the Ukraine and lived most of my life in Uzbekistan. Do these countries need me? No. Do I need them? No. Maybe my sons and I can do some good in this country, and then it will finally become our home. Military service plays an important role in the process of Israeli nationalization. It is intended to serve the patriotic ideal. The integration role of the army is clearer in the case of new immigrants who receive their military and also general civic skills, such as Hebrew and conversion classes. Military service of the children makes these mothers proud and offers them a pathway to their own full symbolic citizenship. At the same time, the ambivalence of those women's experiences as non-Jews often make them feel like strangers in the homeland. This is the title of one of our articles about this woman. Most Russian women regularly visit their parents and other family members who still live in Russia. And this woman told me, I met her in Park in Modi'in, interviewed her in Park in Modi'in, and she told me that she visits her relatives in Russia. I live here and take Israeli problems as my own. I am not Jewish, but I am an Israeli citizen, and I have no doubt about who is right in this conflict. She's telling about the conflict between Jews and Arabs, and her right political view. Tanya identifies with political views of the right and tries to convince her Russian friends that Jews are on the right side in the conflict. Thus, she sees herself as an insider who has to defend Israel from external attacks. Yet she is a stranger, both as an immigrant and non-Jew. Satisfaction of life in Israel in the sense of home has come on also among the non-Jewish male participants. This is example of Valery, Ukrainian who lived in Israel for 12 years along with his wife and has 2 married children. In Ukraine, he had been qualified as grinder and late worked as a production manager. His occupational downgrading in Israel and dissatisfaction caused by it could be felt in his interview. And he spoke a lot of his work and profession and his dissatisfaction with the professional area. Like Valery, most men in our study connected to Israel mainly because of financial security. The issues of citizenship and contribution to the common good, often voiced by the woman, were not so typical to men. Apparently, they felt less discomfort because of their non-Jewish ethnicity, because their children are Jewish, because the woman, the wife, is Jewish. In this sample, the men were clearly less politically involved than women, maybe to the lower levels of education and hard work. And the third topic of holidays and local food. Jewish tradition and Israeli national holidays play a significant role in shaping the lives of Israeli Jews. Some scholars see them as rituals of Israel's civic religion. The Jewish state attempts to unite its citizens by means of religious and secular national holidays. Because of the life cycle shaped by the Jewish calendar and the holidays, it is an important aspect of cultural citizenship in Israel. The gender differential with cultural citizenship is apparent because in most societies, women's key social functions include care for the family, cooking and cleaning. Adapting local cuisine and learning to cook traditional Israeli dishes was a particular source of pride for many female informants. National culinary traditions and holiday practices made these women feel more connected to Israel citizenship. While women adjust to the local customs from within, men often remain outside observers of the holidays and other local traditions. Summary. This study explored the experiences of non-Jewish informants, the wives and husbands of Jewish partners from the former Soviet Union. The gendered nature of cultural citizenship, as expressed by these immigrants, stands in the center of the study, showing that Russian women are generally more flexible and adaptive to the local culture than us co-ethnic men. And it was also in the former Soviet Union and also in Israel. In this sense, Russian immigrant women have clearly adopted the ethno-nationalist discourse of motherhood and feminism as a national mission. In the topic of conversion, women express their relation to Israeli society through motherhood and responsibility for their families, and they want to convert. Men, no, not. Men are typically disinterested in conversion when the mothers of their children are considered Jewish. Satisfaction with life in Israel. The perception of Israel as a new homeland was also mediated through motherhood. Most women were proud to be mothers or grandmothers of the combat soldiers, as well as the daughters who entered a relationship with native Jewish men. Contrary to women, the symbolic integration of immigrant men occurs in different ways. The manhood is constructed through the roles as breadwinners, and they evaluate their lives in Israel mainly drawing on the occupational and economic success, especially in comparison to the lives of their relatives in the country of origin. The work and income-related aspects of their lives came to the fore in the narratives more often than in women's. In the end, the last one, holidays and food. Another gender-related sign of this woman's integration in the local society was their learning to cook some local dishes. Men's higher gender status in the family and the social hierarchy of citizenship allows them to be less adaptive and more critical of the new society and of local cultural discourse. Our findings underscore the gendered nature of citizenship and its close relationship with the gender norms of ethno-national collectivity.